See, a 5.7 magnitude earthquake hit southern Haiti on Tuesday and left so far 3 people dead and several injured. Russia's ambassador to the UN accused Kiev of attacking an important power station and regrets that the international community blames Moscow for the incident. Kenyan police fired tear gas and arrested 11 protesters on Tuesday during a rally in Nairobi against a new financial bill. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll begin with the news. Stay with us. At least 3 people were killed and several injured on Tuesday in Haiti as a result of a 5.7 magnitude earthquake that struck the south of the country, authorities said. The U.S. Geological Survey reported that the earthquake was reported in the early hours of the morning in the city of Giorgio, while specifying that the earthquake had a depth of 10 kilometers. However, the Department of Finances and NIPES were also shaken. The head of the Public Prosecutor's Office of Germany, Andre Marie Prem, said that the descendants are a mother and her 2 children from the Saint Helens district after their house collapsed. At the same time, sources reported that several houses collapsed during the quake while the population continues to try to find more people under the rubble. On Tuesday, the spokesman for the UN Secretary General Stephen Dujarric lamented the effect of the earthquake that struck Haiti and expressed the organization's willingness to work together with the authorities to offer all necessary assistance to the Haitian people.
The Secretary General extends his condolences to the families of the victims and wishes a speedy recovery to all those injured. The UN stands ready to work with the Haitian authorities and other partners to help ease the suffering of those in need as it relates to the earthquake and, of course, the other natural disaster, which is the flooding and landslides we've seen in the past few days.
Stefan Dujarric also referred to the tragic consequences left by the heavy rains and informed that the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs is working with UNICEF, the World Food Programme, and the International Organization for Migration to support the affected communities.
Our humanitarian colleagues are telling us that Grand Anse was already impacted by the torrential rains and that I just mentioned. The Office of the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs is working with UNICEF, the World Food Programme, and the International Organization for Migration to support communities around the capital Port-au-Prince that were hardest hit by the floods and landslides. WFP is ready to distribute some 350,000 hot meals and other food assistance to those who need it the most.
Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva promised that deforestation in the Amazon will cease by 2030. The government of the South American nation plans to achieve that goal by strengthening the law of environmental crimes. Lula points out that the plan for the prevention and control of deforestation in the Amazon establishes a coordinated policy among more than a dozen ministries until the end of his term in 2027. The initiative establishes a greater use of technology and satellite images to track criminal activity, the regularization of land titles, and the use of rural registry to monitor forest management and forest recovery.
We have just relaunched the action plan to combat deforestation in the legal Amazon, an area of more than 5 million square kilometers comprising 9 states in the Amazon basin. which in its previous version, during my first 2 terms of office, produced the greatest reduction in deforestation rates in the Amazon in its entire history. We are restarting the creation of protected areas, parks, and reserves.
U.S. businessmen announced in Havana, Cuba, their interest in establishing trade relations to supply foodstuffs to the island despite a U.S. blockade. During a press conference at the Cuban Chamber of Commerce, businessmen Mark Bauna and Jorge Ignacio Fernandez emphasized their intention to exploit the needs of the Cuban people and the potential of trade. They also asked Cuban authorities to meet with local organizations, officials, representatives, and companies, and to visit places of interest so as to learn about the reality of the Caribbean island. The businessmen said the results of the visit will be the shipment of food for the Cuban people, both commercially and in donation, and the possibility of setting up food processing plants in the island.
Many people and businesses also think that Cuba cannot be touched, because during the Trump era, everything was closed. But that is not the case. You can do a lot of business, and there are no problems, and this is one of the sectors to block. One of the objectives of our foundation, and you can visit our website, is to support and humanize relations with Cuba, which means lifting the blockade, because it hurts innocent people. It was written 63 years ago, and it says, let's hurt the Cuban people. It is not humanitarian.
Let's take a very short break now, but remember you can now follow us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, in which you will be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. Russia's ambassador to the UN, Vasily Nebensia, claims that Kiev forces were behind the partial destruction of this important dam and regretted that part of the international community was ignoring its demands and automatically blamed Moscow for the event. Hours after the collapse of the gate bands at the top of the Kakavaks hydroelectric plant in the Kherson region, casting floodings and the displacements of thousands of people, the UN Security Council held a special meeting in New York to discuss the issues. During Nebensia assured the international community that the Ukrainian army had carried out these aggressions with the aim of regrouping its forces and provoking a humanitarian catastrophe in the area, which has been in constant dispute between Kiev and Moscow since the beginning of the conflict in Ukraine in 2012.
On the night of June 6, the Kiev regime committed an unthinkable crime, exploding the dam of the Kakova hydroelectric power plant, resulting in an uncontrolled discharge of water downstream on the Dnieper River. Settlements have been flooded. Thousands of people are in need of evacuation, and that evacuation has already begun. Colossal damage has been dealt to the agriculture of the region and the ecosystems of the Dnieper estuary. I want to emphasize that the leadership of the armed forces of Ukraine had openly declared their readiness to blow up this dam to gain a military advantage as far back as last year.
On Tuesday, Russian Defense Ministry Sergei Shoigu said that the Kiev regime is trying to launch an offensive over the past 3 days, but was unsuccessful.
On June 4, the forces of the 23rd and 31st Mechanized Brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine attempted an offensive in 5 directions. The enemy did not achieve success in any of them and suffered significant losses: 300 military personnel, 16 tanks, 26 armored combat vehicles, and 14 vehicles. On June 5, the Kiev regime attempted an offensive in 7 directions with a force of 5 brigades. It was stopped and suffered even more significant losses: more than 1,600 military personnel, 28 tanks including 8 Leopards and 3 MX-10 wheeled tanks, 136 units of other military equipment, including 79 foreign ones. Attempted attacks were thwarted. The enemy was stopped. Russian soldiers and officers are showing courage and heroism in battles. I repeat, the enemy did not achieve its goals, but suffered significant and incomparable loss.
On Tuesday, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbi stated that most Asian countries are opposed to NATO's expansion into the region. Wang Wenbin has said that a majority of Asian countries oppose the declaration of military blocs in the region and will not allow a repeat of Cold or hybrid wars in Asia. The officials detailed that NATO countries are obsessed with its words expansion into the Asian Pacific region, although they have repeatedly said they don't want the expansion. According to the Chinese official, the main purpose of the expansion into the region is to intervene in regional affairs and provoke a bloc confrontation.
NATO's moves in this regard have made the international community, especially Asian countries, very vigilant. I said yesterday that most countries in the region are very clear on this issue and are opposed to the establishment of various military blocs in the region. They don't welcome NATO extending its tentacles into Asia. They don't accept a repeat of bloc confrontation in Asia, and they will not allow a repeat of Cold or hot war in Asia. NATO should keep a clear head on this issue. Japan should also make the right choice for regional stability and development. Do not do anything that undermines mutual trust among countries in the region and harms regional peace and stability.
Wang Wenbin also called on the countries of the Asian bloc to respect the effort of Asian countries to establish a nuclear weapon-free zone in Southeast Asia.
China has always strongly supported the efforts of ASEAN countries to establish a nuclear weapon-free zone in Southeast Asia and was the first nuclear weapons state to openly support the treaty on the establishment of a Southeast Asian nuclear weapon-free zone and expressed its willingness to sign the protocol to the treaty. We once again urge the United States, the United Kingdom, and Australia to take the concerns of the international community seriously and to stop cooperation on nuclear submarines, which is an act of nuclear proliferation.
teleSUR English continues to grow. You can now tune in from 33 different African countries through StarSat. Dial 461 and join our Latin American alternative broadcast. From final short break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Kenyan police fired tear gas and arrested 11 protesters on Tuesday during a rally in Nairobi against a new finance bill that critics say will pile more economic hardship on ordinary people. A group of about 100 protesters marched towards Parliament chanting down on the finance bill and waving pancards reading, "Will more taxations lead to low cost of living and poverty is man-made?" Parliament resumed its session on Tuesday after a recess and is expected to debate the legislation this week. The proposed legislation known as the Finance Bill 2023 called for the new or increased taxes on a wide range of items including fuel and food, as well as beauty products, cryptocurrency and social media influencers.
We are witnessing some chaos which is not right for us as Kenyans. We need to live like we are in a country. We don't have to have fear that we are going to be chased because we are fighting for our rights. So people are in the streets to demonstrate their anger, their frustrations, to demonstrate everything. We are suffering, in short. People need money, and that money is being taxed. You are being taxed twice for something that you need to get free. So we need that financial ability to go down.
We are demonstrating because the cost of living is high. We want the cost of living to come down because most of the youth are unemployed. We have single mothers who are unable to cater for themselves. It is imperative for the cost of living to go down so that everybody is able to sustain themselves.
Italian Prime Minister Giorgio Milani landing Tunis on Tuesday for the date of talks with the nation's leaders, during which he's expected to address the increased number of migrants landing Tunisia for Italy. Milani was greeted at the airport by Tunisian Premier Nalan Bonden and then held meetings with President Kais Saied. The two leaders were also expected to talk about energy questions and financial issues that the African nation is facing. Tunisia is trying to secure funds from the European Union while struggling with a reform requested by the International Monetary Fund. According to the Italy's Interior Ministry, over 50,000 migrants have arrived by boat in Italy between January and June, compared to just over 20,000 in the same period in 2022. After meeting with Tunisian President Kais Saied, Italian Premier Giorgio Milani held a meeting with the country's Prime Minister Nalan Bonden. During the meeting, the Italian leader said Rome supports efforts to secure an IMF bailout for Tunisia and to deal with its growing migration problem.
In full respect of Tunisia's sovereignty, I spoke to President Saied about the efforts being made by a friendly country such as Italy to reach a positive conclusion for an agreement between Tunisia and the International Monetary Fund, which remains fundamental for a stronger and complete recovery of the country. Our work is also very important in regard to combating illegal migration. This is a phenomenon that affects both Tunis and Rome. We agreed with President Saied that it is fundamental to strengthen cooperation in this arena according to an approach that cannot be exclusively security-based.
On Tuesday, the Ethiopian government rejected recent accusations by Human Rights Watch HRW of a campaign of ethnic cleansing in the western region of Tigray. In a report, the human rights organizations claim that military units and militias from the neighboring Hamara region continue to forcibly expel Tigrayans from the western Tigray zone as part of the campaign of ethnic cleansing. The HRW published these accusations without carrying out a rigorous and credible investigation in the areas concerned, and they are not supported by any evidence. On Tuesday, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa held a joint press conference with his Portuguese counterpart, President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, who is on an official visit to the South African country. The two presidents held bilateral talks on a number of issues, including the ongoing conflict in Mozambique, agreeing on their mutual efforts to address security issues related to the conflict. President Cyril Ramaphosa also discussed the upcoming mission of African leaders to try to broker peace in the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. On his part, de Sousa thanks Ramaphosa for his role in the initiative, emphasizing the importance of listening to the two parties and tell them what is the African view of the war. We have come to the end of this brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also use us on our socials. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English, I'm from the South, I'm Ana Marrero, and thank you for watching.